everybody, welcome back to Start McCleary. I'm Sean, and today it's going to be another different thing. Here's the deal. A lot of people want to hate on Brad Keselowski, but he actually had a very interesting beginning. So today I'm going to discuss how Keselowski made it into the Cup Series and where he got today. And here's my opinion. I don't hate Keselowski, but I'm not a fan of him either. I'm just neutral on him, but he does have a very interesting background, unlike most of these other drivers that are coming up to Cup today. So, why don't we get started? Now, Keselowski was born in a racing family. He was born on February 12, 1984 to Kay and known racer Bob Keselowski. Brad's dad, Bob, was a known ARCA Series driver who won 24 races in that series. He was also a Craftsman Truck Series driver, competing from 1995 to 1999. He only won one race in that event, which was at 1997 at Richmond. And believe it or not, he also completed in one Cup race at Pocono in 1994, where he finished 41st in the event. But other than that, there was not much known about Bob Keselowski's racing. So let's go on to his nephew, Ron Keselowski. For Ron Keselowski, pretty much all I could tell you is that he actually raced before Bob Keselowski did. He drove in the Cup Series from 1970 to 1974. Though he did not win a race, he had 11 top 10 finishes throughout the event. His best points finish was 27th in 1971 and 1972. But now let's get to Brad Keselowski's story. Brad Keselowski spends much of his teen life working in his dad's race shop. During that time, he did some, normal manual labor jobs like sweeping and mopping floors and mowing the grass. But Keselowski did not begin his stock car racing career until the age of 16 in 2000. Keselowski started in the factory stock division. However, there was not much known about his stats during that time. That's all I could tell you is that he started at the age of 16 in 2000, and he started in the factory stock division, and he would remain in that series until 2004. In 2004, Keselowski finally moved up to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, driving for his family-owned K Automotive Motorsports, driving the number 29 Ford F-150. He made his first start at Martinsville, and in his first start, he finished 33rd. He also made 7 more starts later that year, with his best finish becoming at the very next race in Maysville Park, where he finished 16th. However, he had 4 DNFs during that time, but despite this, he was able to drive full-time in the truck in 2005. With competing in the Truck Series full-time in 2005 with financial backing from Subcruise.com and Samson Stone, he was able to get his first and only top 10 finish at the season opener at Daytona, where he finished 7th. Throughout the rest of the season, Keselowski produced mediocre results, and eventually the sponsors left. And then at the end of the season, he finished 21st in points, because during that time, K Automotive was an underfunded team. Unfortunately, that was the end for K Automotive, as he would compete in the first 2 events of 2006, but eventually would fold the team due to lack of sponsorship and the lack of money to fund cars for another race. So for a short time there, Keselowski did not compete in any NASCAR events. He will not compete in another event until the middle of the season in Kentucky, driving for Sutton Motorsports, driving the number 02 Chevy for the next 2 events for Kentucky and Memphis. And unfortunately, he did not do well in either of those events. Finished 30th in Kentucky and 16th at Memphis. And he would make 2 more starts later that year for MB Motorsports, driving the number 63 Ford, with 34th at Bristol and 24th at Homestead. However, he was able to drive in the event called the Busch Series for Keith Coleman Racing in late 2006, driving the number 23 Chevy. He did not do well in any of the events, and his best finish was 26 at Kansas. But he was able to get with the team again in 2007. In 2007, Keselowski only competed for the first half of the season in the 23 car. However, for some of the events, he was known to be a start and park driver because Keith Coleman Racing did not have any sponsorship backing, and they were not really able to compete in full events. So, for a lot of the events, they were start and park, and they failed to qualify for the season opener at Daytona. Following the Nashville event, Keselowski was let go from Keith Coleman, and he was able to get one race in for the Truck Series in 2007. So Keselowski competed in 3 events in 2007. The first 2 were for Pennington Motorsports at Atlanta and Martinsville. He finished 19th and 20th, and the next event was the event that changed his career, and that actually got him his big break. Was at Memphis. At Memphis, he started on the pole. He led a handful of laps, but unfortunately, he was turned around by Travis Kvapil, and it took him out of contention for the win. And unfortunately, he had to finish 16th. But it was not entirely bad when this happened. Later that year, a man helped his racing career, and that man was Dale Earnhardt Jr. He was called to drive his number 88 car for Junior Motorsports for the next 3 events in Chicago, Gateway, and at Lucas Oil Raceway, where he actually got his first top 10 finish in a nationwide series event. Well, then called the Busch Series. And then eventually he was hired to drive the car for the rest of the season. Though he did not finish in the top 5, he did have 4 more top 10 finishes throughout the rest of the year, with his best finish being at Texas, which was 6th. And after that, it was announced that Keselowski will drive the car full time in 2008, driving the same car, and this would be basically his big break into becoming a superstar. And eventually, throughout 2008 and 2009, where he drove the car, Keselowski got his first win at Nashville in 2008, and eventually got another win at Bristol, and he finished 3rd in points, and having numerous top 5s and top 10 finishes throughout the year. The same thing was in 2009, except 2009 was quite better. In 2009, Keselowski had 4 more wins at Dover, Iowa, Michigan, and Memphis, and also finishing 3rd in points. And after those 2 great seasons, Keselowski was able to move up into the Sprint Cup Series. Keselowski made his Cup Series debut at the 2008 Dickies 500 at Texas, where he was driving the number 25 Chevy for Hendrick Motorsports, finishing 19th. He also made another start at Homestead, where he finished 23rd. And drove part-time in 2009 for Phoenix Racing and Hendrick Motorsports, and got his first Cup Series win at Talladega, after being in a controversial wreck with Carl Edwards. He will also get 3 more top 10 finishes at Darlington, New Hampshire, and Talladega before competing in the Cup Series full-time in 2010, driving for his new car owner, which was Roger Penske. Ever since he joined Roger Penske, Brad Keselowski became a big superstar. In the Xfinity Series, he won 6 races, and also with 26 top 5 finishes, which was a record, and winning his first and only Nationwide Series championship. However, he did not do well at first in the Cup Series, only having 2 top 10 finishes and finishing 25th in points. But he was able, in 2011, he was able to drive the car that we all know him for, the number 2 Miller Lite, then Dodge, and then eventually Ford. And then after he getting a lot more experience in the Cup Series, he got better, won 3 races in 2011 and made the chase. And then eventually he got on top by winning the Sprint Cup Series championship in 2012. And that, my friends, is how Brad Keselowski made it into the Cup Series and became the superstar that he is. So if you like the video, you'll like it. If you don't, that's okay. But anyways, guys, I'm Star McCleary. Thanks for watching. Peace.